Good evening and welcome into the 40th edition of the R&R Sports Report. I'm your host, Randy Isbell. With me, as always, Robert Hagan. Robert, did you have a good 4th?
It wasn't bad. I just kind of laid low. We did. We had the grandkids over. Went down to mom and dad's and watched a little fireworks. But it was kind of nice not having all those extra fireworks going off here in the valley with it being so hot. And
Goodness. It's still so hot. Haley and I went Pokemon hunting with Pokemon Go today, and it's still hot. I'm sunburnt and goodness.
I'm supposed to have golf league tomorrow, so we'll see if that even happens or if it's way too hot.
You golfers are just have to suck it up.
Yeah,
have to deal with the hot. For me, obviously, my son turned 13 the day before the 4th, so I was going to hang out with him for a little bit, but we get down to Lancers to do our traditional ice cream, and they are confused why I showed up and not in my work clothes, because apparently I got scheduled and no one told me. So we quickly ate our ice cream and we ran back home, and then I had to go to work. So that's how it goes. So I just got to ask you. I mean, obviously, 4th of July tradition. I didn't watch it this year.
I don't think many people were able to watch it.
What was going on? I saw you posted that they weren't, where they had technical issues.
Yeah,
with the hot dog eating contest is what we're talking about.
Yeah, they kept cutting in and out and losing their feed and all that, so it was kind of odd, as they couldn't keep the cameras working whatsoever. And
I think it's a conspiracy, and they just kept cutting the feed out and then bumping numbers for Joey Chestnut, and then bringing it back and going, oh my God, he ate 9 hot dogs in the last 30 seconds while you were gone. Oh, look, he broke the record. It's a conspiracy, I tell you.
Well, this is 14 titles in a row, or no, 14 total. He did lose the title in 2015 to Matt Stoney, but has won every other one that he's competed in, and he just keeps getting stronger. I remember when 50 was the max, back in there.
Felt like
and now, we were talking about, we had a comment on that post today, and somebody made a comment that's like, 1 is sufficient. Yeah, that's about right. 1, maybe 2, depends on if it's a chili dog, but
right. So I got 2 questions for you.
All right.
One is a joke. One is possibly a joke compared to how you take it. Is Joey Chestnut the greatest athlete in sports history?
No. I mean, that dude can put down some food. He can really do some stuff. All competitive eating people, some of the things that they do competitive eating, and I didn't look anything up like that, but they will do the most meatball eating contests. There's all kinds of contests that these guys do, and it's crazy to see it, but Joey probably starved himself for a couple days.
There's a whole regimen that these guys go through and a whole prep work. ESPN did a 30 for 30 on this hot dog eating contest. So, and the preparation that it takes.
Yeah.
So,
no,
my other question though, sir, we've been talking the last couple shows that we need something for a stretch goal for our 600 followers on our Facebook page. A hot dog eating contest between the 2 of us?
Oh my God. I don't know if we could handle that. As much as my stomach is shrinking, I don't know.
It might be a winner might be 5 hot dogs compared to the 70 something, but
I don't know.
Something to think about.
That's just crazy.
We're at 518, so we still got some time, but just something I thought about today when I was doing my notes.
It's another 2 followers this week, and so it's just been slowly growing. But a hot dog eating contest. Now, how would you judge that? Would it be
whoever eats the most hot dogs in 10 minutes?
Wow. Here's the thing that I know that you could not do this. Let me take you back a few years. Try about 8 years ago.
Listen.
Seattle, Washington. We go to the crab pot. We go to the crab pot to eat dinner the night before the Ravens and the Seahawks game. You tear up eating everybody's food.
Yes.
I mean, you're eating food off everybody else's plate. Next morning, we go to Beth's, who's known for their huge 12-egg omelet, hash browns, toast, all that.
Yep.
Go ahead and rub it in. I failed. I was so short, but
you were a potato away. I ate potato. I was 11 eggs and omelets and potatoes away. I barely got to touch it.
I was going to say, you ate like 5 bites and you were done.
Because again, I overfilled myself the day before. I would have crushed you in the seafood eating contest if we were having that. But as far as the breakfast goes, I was not prepared and not ready for it.
I tell you what, I would put my wife to beat you in a crawfish eating contest. And you know, she loves her crawfish and her seafood there.
Honestly, I would take anybody to beat me in any kind of a contest. I'm not the fastest eater.
No.
But again, something to think about. We got some time, but throw that in the list of possibles. Where are we now in this match between Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady versus Bryson DeChambeau and Aaron Rodgers? Because I had to turn it off to prep for this because my internet can't handle both.
Well, we were. I got a late start watching it, so I went back on and watched the very first. I had it live and trying to catch up, but right now they just teed off on hole number 12. They are in Big Sky, Montana, playing Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady versus Bryson DeChambeau and Aaron Rodgers. Right now through 11, DeChambeau and Rodgers just birdied the last hole, so they're up 2 going into hole 12. As Aaron Rodgers getting ready to tee off on the 12th hole right now, the 190 yards. But Randy, you and I talked for a brief minute about it. Mm-hmm. This course is gorgeous. Oh my God. And 100%. we were looking around. They've shown anything from bears. They've had a coyote run across the.
I don't know if you were watching at this point, but one of the things that you get when you get your golf cart is bear spray. It's included with all of your equipment that they give you.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy to see what they were giving and handing out there. But yeah, I mean, just to look and for them to make a hole that was 777 yard par 5. Mm-hmm. For you and I, that would probably take 8 strokes just to get there before we started.
100%. And that weird dip that's in the middle of it. And I wouldn't even hit the fairway. That would be my issue. But it's a very expensive course. We were looking that up because you can't just go play the 18. You have to stay there for 3 days, which costs like $200 a night just for that, on top of the lodging. And then what was it? $250, $270 or something to play the 18 on top of that bill. So you're looking at probably over $1,000 easy.
Yeah, and
to stay there.
I've had the opportunity now to play Circling Raven twice up in Worley, which is a gorgeous course, which the LPGA's kind of like the Corn Ferry for the LPGA. I forget what their name is, but it's the rookies, the younger people tour. They are coming to Circling Raven in September to have their 4-day tournament. So kind of excited about that. I actually thought about looking into maybe driving up and getting tickets to go in and just walk the course with them. I mean, it's a gorgeous course and go play, but so my big thing though, Randy, and I asked you this was, and the wife questioned me about it the other day. How come we're not over in Seattle watching both of our ball clubs?
Because only one ball club is playing right now. I actually had this conversation with Haley. Obviously, money's tight during the summer. It's just how it is anyway. So I don't think we could afford that trip. But I told her the other day, it's really sad that I don't even want to attempt to try to talk her in to letting me go watch at least a game. Like the idea is not even in my head right now. I hate watching the team on TV. The Yankees are so hard to watch. And even when they start to look good, they blow it in the 9th inning anyways. I don't want to go suffer through that live. That is why we're not. As far as the match goes, these are going to be completely unwatchable if Phil Mickelson's not playing in them. He makes these.
Oh,
with
it's
his conversations and the way he breaks things down, and he's helping his teammate through all of that. He is the best for this style of play.
well, it's not even just helping his teammate. It's also him talking and wanting Bryson to talk his way through it, and even Aaron, talk your way through. What are you thinking? Which is a whole new insight, and you love that idea of what they're bringing to the game. So
for
I like
sure,
it.
Phil understands what this is for. It's for charity, it's for fun, and it's for education.
I don't know if you heard it too. They've had a couple different players. Woods has played it. Charles Barkley, they had President Barack Obama on a little while ago, and they also had Charles Barkley, who's part of it. Larry Fitzgerald's part of it this year. Charles Barkley even said, "I will play with President Barack Obama." Can you imagine those two
That'd be a
even
fun pair.
being?
That'd be a crazy pair.
That'd be a crazy pair, but I mean, you guys wouldn't be there. I don't think any of them hit anything like one of the pros. So
Charles Barkley and President Obama versus Phil Mickelson and Wayne Gretzky.
yeah.
And Barkley and Obama get an extra stroke. They get a stroke handicap.
That per hole, I would say at least.
Yeah, per hole they get a 1 stroke advantage.
I could see that happening.
We've got a jam-packed show. News is all over the place. All-star lineups have been announced. Our power rankings are out on the Facebook page. If you check out the R&R Sports Report over there, and we did a little special where we named our all-star for every team that was not named to the all-star game, just to give a shout out to some names that maybe you haven't realized are having a good year, and some that just straight up got snubbed. We might talk about that a little bit in a little bit. College Baseball World Series is over, and sadly, the last game was kind of a laugher. We got some fun games we're going to talk about. We have Randy's Believe It or Not with the NFL prop bet edition. I found some fun ones. Robert's going to have a new segment he's going to talk about. We got, of course, NHL and NBA finals going on or about to get going, or I guess they've just started in the NBA. So we'll talk about that. Of course, all of those sports that don't get enough airtime. A really cool news story that came out of LC this week, and much, much more. But we're going to start with our top stories of the week. And Robert, we got to start with you because yours is slightly lighter than mine.
Yeah, I'm looking for all of the positives over the last couple weeks.
Robert wants to find the fun, just silly stats. I'm going into, we're going to feel uncomfortable for 10 minutes talking about this story. So thank you for giving us a little levity at the start of this show.
It goes back to the Joey Votto thing. I mean, I liked that story a couple weeks ago, and that came out, and so my big one this week is actually it happened Sunday, and I think he's one of the best players to probably ever play the game. And I'm going to pose this question to you here in a couple of minutes. But Albert Pujols joins the 6,000 total base club. He's only the 4th player to do so. He joins Hank Aaron, Stan Musial, and Willie Mays. You look at those 3 names just alone and what they've done for their ball clubs, and even in Hank Aaron, Stan Musial was earlier, Hank Aaron a little bit after, Willie Mays during that same time. It was a whole different ball game in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s when things were happening. And so you look at what the players do now, it's a really to be able to get to 6,000 hits, I think it's huge. I mean, they're taking every other day off. You look at some of these players that did it, back in the 50s and 60s. Hank Aaron had 6,800 total bases. Stan Musial, 6,134. Willie Mays, 6,066. Does Albert Pujols get the chance to maybe move up to 3rd? Depends on if he plays another year.
No, how does he would break it this year. He's going to get 66 more total bases this year.
I think he does too. But my question then brings up: does he retire? Was the Dodgers getting them picking him up? Is he there just to be that person that's mentoring some of these? He's not playing every day. So it's a big question for what happens to Albert, but couldn't have happened to a greater guy. So my question I'm going to pose to you, and we talk about this, and you and I didn't even talk anything about this earlier today in any of our stuff. Is Albert Pujols during our generation? Now I'm gonna leave it to our generation. So
we're talking like mid 80s on.
I would say I started watching probably early 80s because I got to start watching.
I probably remember early 90s, to be honest.
Right. So, I mean, I grew up watching, Bob Horner, Greg Hubbard, the Atlanta Braves, Dale Murphy. So I would say our generation would start right about the 80s till now. Is Albert Pujols the best right-handed hitter during our generation? Or is he probably one of the best batters to ever play the game as a right-handed hitter?
In our generation, top 5 for sure.
So then who would be ahead of him? Because you look at some of his numbers, his numbers are just through the roof.
Especially when you put right-handed hitter in there, it changes everything. Because you think lefties of Griffey and Bonds. I know you hate Bonds, but that dude was ridiculous. I'm trying to think as far as in the last 30 years. Like I said, he's easily top 5. I'm trying to think of guys I would even put ahead of him.
Well, there's so many.
Really, really hard.
Here's the thing. There's
in my generation.
There's so many different categories that people judge on this anymore. We look at the idea of, back then it was all about the batting average, getting on base. Now they've added in the OPS, the slugging, the home runs are huge. But in his 21 years, Albert Pujols is batting .297. He's got an OPS of 920. So he's up there. But would you put him ahead of all time? Would you put him ahead of Hank Aaron? Would you put him ahead of Babe Ruth? Would you put him ahead of these guys that we didn't get to see live? I would say in our generation now, I think hands down he is probably the best right-handed hitter of all of our generation. And I would, and I'm one of those ones that'll go to bat and for Edgar Martinez. I was the same way with him coming up and finally getting into Cooperstown. I really think that Edgar is probably top 10 of all times of our generation to watch.
So I'm looking up lists real quick just to get names so I'm not forgetting anybody. In our generation, I'm just going to throw out some names, and I had 3 in mind already. They're throwing out things like Manny Ramirez and stuff, and I don't believe that. One that I think you'll knock away real quick just because of the controversy. Who's better, Albert Pujols or Alex Rodriguez?
Wow. I mean, I can see both. I mean, yeah, you've got to put that asterisk next to Alex, but you look at that if you want to look at that time frame right there, you got to add in people like Jeff Bagwell, Frank Thomas, so there's a lot of names.
Taking my list. I was getting ready to give you a list and you're taking them all. I was going to say Frank Thomas was the one that if he wasn't just, purely a power guy, he was it in the 90s. Obviously the big hurt. I have never seen an Albert Pujols video game.
Right.
I have Frank Thomas Big Hurt Baseball back here somewhere.
Right.
But the one that's really, really interesting to me, and I think it would have been the argument for people a long time ago, and I do think Pujols has aged slightly better, but the crazy thing is they're still playing. Who has had the better career to you, Albert Pujols or Miguel Cabrera?
Ooh. I love the way Miggy plays. I mean, Miggy has fun every day. He's out there having a good time. Albert, I think the tough thing for Albert is he was in a area playing for St. Louis that didn't get a lot of exposure until they made the big playoff pushes and so on. So it all boils down to the same thing we talk about in football or basketball. If you're in the big cities like New York, LA, you're gonna get the notoriety. You're gonna get those
But
people out there.
Miggy didn't either.
And that's the thing. I think he could probably easily have a lot more credits, as being one of the top ones. So
Yeah.
I would lean a little bit more to Pujols, but I love
Mhm.
Miggy. I mean,
Yeah.
he's one that makes baseball still fun for
Mhm.
certain people to watch.
Yeah, I take Pujols hands down, but I think Miggy's probably the closest one as far as the last 20 years. But let's look forward. Who has the better career when all is said and done, Albert Pujols or Mike Trout?
Wow. If Mike Trout can get back to being healthy, and staying healthy with him and even playing, if they can sign him and keep him signed on with Shohei, can you imagine that combination of Trout and Otani? That would be just absolutely bonkers.
Again, and that's
So,
where you bring in the right-handed hitter, and that's where it kind of changes the game because there's been so many good lefties.
so that's my next question to you. So then, who would be the best of our generation, the best left-handed bat? I
It's
have
it's
I have three.
it's Griffey.
I have three. Griffey
Yeah.
is one of them,
Mhm.
and the other two is another Mariner, and the other one
Of
is
course it is.
and Mister.
Because two of the three greatest hitters in the last 30 years were both Mariners. Because look how many championships they've won.
Well, and you're doubting Ichiro. Come on,
Ichiro is really good too.
I
I
think
can't
he's
disagree with Ichiro.
he's number three to me. I am totally gonna agree with you. It is Griffey for number one, but for me, number two, hands down, and is Mr. Padre himself, Tony Gwynn. I really I love the way watching him play. I think he is an unbelievable player. So for me, those are my three left-handers. How about your three left-handers?
It's Griffey, it's Bonds, and probably Ichiro. I mighty I kind of forgot about Ichiro, but he's definitely up there. Obviously, I have a soft spot for Derek Jeter. I mean, obviously he didn't have a
Derek
lot of home runs.
Derek Jeter's a righty. Just saying.
I'm just thinking hitters right now.
Oh, okay.
Like if I was doing top three of anything, like Don Mattingly would have been up there if his career wasn't ended short. But you might be right. It might be Griffey, Ichiro, and then Tony Gwynn's up there. Barry Bonds is up there. God, so tough. Even just in the last 30 years is tough.
Yeah. So
Thanks for making it really hard, by the way.
Yeah. So my last question then for you, and we'll move on to your top story. When Albert Pujols goes into the Hall of Fame into Cooperstown, and he will.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, 100%. He will be a first ballot. Does he wear a Cardinals hat or does he wear an Angels hat?
He won a championship for both, right?
Yep.
Man.
Could you put him in that category as the best AL NL player ever to play for both leagues? I mean, there's lots of ways you can go with this conversation. Sorry to change.
What would he wear? I Cardinals is what I would pick, but
well,
wow.
Here's a couple of big ones, and just for you. In St. Louis, he was a 328 batter, slugged over 600 and an OPS of 1.037. As an Angel, he was only batting 256 and was slugging 447 with an OPS of 758. But if you look at, being 1 year difference in home runs, here's the biggest one for me. He hit 445 home runs in St. Louis as a Cardinal. but as an Angel, he only hit 222.
Yep.
And he had almost 600 more RBIs as a Cardinal than he did as a Angel, with 1 year more. Just 1 year.
And I'm wrong. Both of his World Series championships were with the Cardinals. He left the Cardinals the year after they won the second one. I would say Cardinals, but it could be both. All right, so let's go from that tough story to one that's. I got echo. Do you got an echo?
Huh?
I don't know what's going on. I'm hearing an echo for sure. Eric, before I get into mine, Eric says, for as good as he's done as an Angel, Pujols has to be in the Cardinals. It has to. I think I agree with Eric. But while that story was tough just to figure out our top hitters, and I wish you would have gave me more time to think about that because that was hard. Maybe we will hit that later on down the road when I get some more research in. But let's talk about a story that's just going to be tough to talk about, and that's the Trevor Bauer story going on right now. Obviously, he is currently on administrative leave, paid administrative leave until Friday due to sexual assault allegations. And if you've seen the pictures that the woman has put out, it's rough. But it is a very interesting story to talk about. Obviously, so he met up with this woman. She's 27 years old. They've met up twice. Trevor Bauer's camp has text messages between the two of the woman asking for rough sex. That's how she wanted it, about wanting to be choked out and this and that and whatever they wanted to be into the bedroom. And apparently Trevor Bauer took that and went way too far with it and went to the point of choking her out unconsciously and not stopping even after that point. We don't need to get into details. If you're curious about the details of what is alleged to happen in there, you can look it up somewhere else. We're not going to get into it here. But she showed up to the doctors and had 2 black eyes and a bulging bruised lip, is what reports say. She said she woke up after being knocked out unconscious and was dazed and confused and sore everywhere. And it's a mess. And I want to get your thoughts on it real quick.
You know, you've put more details into it than in the last 2 minutes than I have heard the entire time. You know, I tend to not want to put these players into that situation, but anymore, it just, these people are wanting to get in and get a piece of somebody that's really famous. And so I don't know whether or not how much of it is true, not seeing the text, not seeing any of that information.
I don't think Trevor Bauer is denying any of it.
Right.
He's just saying that this is what she wanted, which, I'm sorry, even if she goes, I want it really rough. If you knock the girl out, that's too far. That's just... I might be too conservative. Maybe I'm just not.
What I want to know is how does she get his text number? I mean, how does she get all that? I don't understand that.
I'm a big Trevor Bauer fan. I like watching his YouTube stuff. He's a lot of fun on there, but he's very open. That's the problem with being big onto YouTube and being, a blogger at this point. You're very open about things. He has been very open with the fact that even if he dates somebody, they have to be okay that he's going to sleep with other people. He's very open sexually, and I'm sure he's on all sorts of different dating apps because he's like, I'm traveling all over the United States. I'm only pitching once every 5 days. I'm young. I'm rich. I'm going to have fun. So, I mean, he doesn't hide that at all. So I'm sure they met on some kind of a dating app or a hookup app or whatever that is. But the point is it's just a weird situation, and this has to be so hard for the MLB because no matter what they do, whatever they decide, it's going to be looked at as the wrong decision by some group. Because you especially as a Ravens fan, went through the Ray Rice situation where the NFL tried to just sweep it under the rug. It's like, oh, they had a fight, things happened, he's suspended for 2 games, and then the video came out, and we never saw Ray Rice again.
Right.
He's completely out of the NFL. Now you're at a point where it's Trevor Bauer's not even denying any of this. Right? His camp is like this. Their defense is this is what she wanted. It's not, oh, she's blowing it out of proportion. Oh, it didn't happen. She had a friend punch her in the face. None of that. He's admitting to all of it and just saying it was consensual the whole way. So my question, as hard as it is they've already said, like Dave Roberts, the manager for the Dodgers, has already come out and said they don't believe he's going to be reinstated on Friday when his 7 days is up. Both at that point, from what I've heard, both the Dodgers and Major League Baseball have to agree to keep him on that list at that point. And I think that's going to happen. But my question to you is, does Trevor Bauer ever pitch again?
I would think he probably will. But anymore, if you turn your head wrong, if you cough wrong, if you say something wrong, you're under such a huge microscope in anything. I mean, we're becoming a society right now that is so micromanaged to the point of everybody is watching what everybody says, does, and if you say the wrong thing, you're going to offend this group and you're going to piss off the other group, or vice versa. So it's just getting to the point that nobody can do, and none of these players, and I'm not trying to protect these players or anything.
Robert's going through some kind of stuff right now,
dealing with allergies and stuff. But none of these athletes are so micromanaged and are watched so much that they can't do anything. I'm not saying what he did isn't right or isn't wrong or what, but it's hard to be. It's hard to be a professional athlete unless you just go do your job, go home, and do nothing. I mean, that's how micromanaged. But I would like to say yes, he pitches again. Would I be shocked if he doesn't pitch the rest of the year? No, I wouldn't be shocked with that. But, it goes back to the same thing, too. Like I said, if you make a comment, look at Kyle Busch, or not. Why am I drawing a blank all of a sudden? I'm trying to jump to NASCAR, but Kyle Larson opening his mouth, saying something bad, and then now he's having an unbelievable career over this last year. So,
like, slipping and showing off that you're a racist and dropping the N-word is completely different than what is happening here. I'm going to say Trevor Bauer pitches again, but it's not going to be this year. I go back to, as a Yankee fan, Domingo Germán was suspended 81 games for domestic violence. To me, even though there are texts that says that she wanted it rough, what Trevor Bauer did is disgusting and way too far. And to the point where she gets knocked out and he doesn't stop. That's completely wrong and inexcusable to me. And he needs to pay some sort of a punishment. I don't think he will be gone forever. I don't think he'll be banned for life unless a video comes out, because again, with the Ray Rice stuff, a video all of a sudden emerges and it just makes things worse. But I can see him getting 81 games easy once they go through all of it, especially for the fact that he is admitting to all of it. So it's very interesting to see. We will keep an eye on it. There were so many stories this week that I just went, I don't know if I want to put it on.
Well, I mean, we could even go with the other story is NBA finals are just happening, and Rachel Nichols does not get to cover any of the basketball because she made a comment about she thinks some people were hired for ESPN was because of their race. I mean, unfortunately, that's the society we're starting to live in.
Yeah. Again, slightly different. that's going on. But yes, that was an interesting story I actually heard on the radio today, and there's the news cycle did not slow down this
Mm-mm.
week, and we're
Not
trying
at
our
all.
best to touch on some of it and not get into the weeds and spend 2 hours talking about things that make us uncomfortable to talk about. We want to have fun on this show. So let's get back into the fun and let's talk Major League Baseball injuries because that's fun, right?
No,
That's
not when your player of the week for the last 2 weeks is now gone on the
gone for a while.
IL.
Yeah, Kyle Schwarber will miss significant time, according to the Nationals, with a hamstring injury. That's so disappointing. He's been so good this year. Speaking of very young, good player, Sixto Sanchez for the Marlins have season-ending surgery on his right shoulder. Anthony Rendon is on the IL again. It's his third time this season with a left hamstring. Half of the Chicago White Sox are dealing with injuries. Eloy Jimenez with a pectoral. Luis Robert with a hip. Nick Mangrove with a hamstring. Aaron Bummer, it's a bummer, with a hamstring. Aaron Marshall with a shoulder. Adam Engel with a hamstring. Jake Lamb with a quad. And then on Monday, Yasmani Grandal tore his knee tendon and is out for 4 to 6 weeks.
Did you watch him tear his tendon? It was on a check swing. He's swinging at the ball in the batter's box, check swings it, and just kind of twists that left knee, and it just it's crazy. And then same with Schwarber. You watch Schwarber round the base there after hitting a nice little single into right field, and it comes up and it just you see him pull up as soon as that leg hits the bag. It was just like all of a sudden it's just totally stopped.
And by the way, Eric, I do expect Black Irish to come back and talk about the Bauer situation. I want to hear you and Jason and Kendall talk about that. Good, positive news. And Eric is here, so it all works together. The Tampa Bay Rays are calling up their number 2 prospect. They had just called up their number 1 prospect a couple weeks ago. But the number 2 prospect will be up tomorrow. He's a 23-year-old Vidal Brujan. Mostly an infielder, but has played all 3 outfield positions this year. Has actually played more outfield than infield in the minors this year, just to try to get him a spot. He'll be replacing Manuel Margot, who's on the 10-day IL with the left hamstring, because that's what everyone hurts. Brujan was named the Rays minor league hitter of May, batting .315, has 21 RBIs, 9 stolen bases, and had 14 walks to just 17 strikeouts. He kind of slumped in June a little bit, but he's a very good hitter, has some power, has a lot of speed. So as much as I hate to see it, the Rays get younger and better because that's just what they do. And a trade happened actually today. We're getting closer and closer to the trade deadline. But the Milwaukee Brewers get first baseman Rowdy Tellez from the Blue Jays for right-handed pitcher Trevor Richards and a minor leaguer. Which one of those moves will have a bigger impact, Robert?
Boy, I think probably the Brewers. I think Rowdy, it just brings a little bit more. I've been on both ball clubs. You know, the Blue Jays are looking great. I listened to something this morning that them talking about has the Brewers have one of the best run differentials. I just think that adding one more bat there is going to help that team out, and I'm excited for him. I think I'm excited too for the Blue Jays. Is they're a team on the move too. Their run differential is getting good, but you get up there into, I think what's going to be bigger for the Blue Jays is if, and I'm saying if, they get to go home on July 30th, as they have still been playing games in Buffalo, you know, and I feel bad for that team, but you know, it's going to be interesting to see if that happens. And they did talk to the things, but I mean, both of them, I mean, I can see pluses and minuses both sides on that trade.
For Toronto, I think the hitters don't want to leave Buffalo. It's a good hitters park. The pitchers are begging to go back to Canada. That is for sure. And as Eric says, he did trade both Brujan and Franco because he's not a Rays fan after all. But he does get Ohtani. That's cool. I just actually picked up Brujan to hopefully replays Gleyber Torres while he continues to suck. So we'll see how that goes. Your all-star lineups are out. What was your biggest surprise, sir?
For me, I, I understand Mike Trout got hurt. Mike Trout is still one of the best players to play the game, but he's missed so many games. I'm shocked that they did not go ahead and just move one of the other reserves up, or just go ahead
They
and
will,
take.
obviously.
But I mean, take one of them in. I I think Joey Gallo is probably going to be the person that goes into that spot. It'll be interesting, but I think out of all of them, I've seen more of the reserves who've made it as reserves that I didn't think was worth it. I mean, JD Martinez easily could have been up there in a starter role, but first base for the American League is just so stacked. Just, I mean, in both divisions, actually, first base is nuts. But there were some relievers that did not make it, and I know they try to do all the starters, all the closers, and they don't get very many middle relief guys in. But there was a lot of middle relief guys that probably easily could have got some recognition.
The one snub that really shocked me was Max Scherzer, just for the fact he's a big name,
Right.
And he's had a very good year. Yes, it's only a 7-4 record because the Nationals really struggled early on, but he has a 2.1 ERA and has struck out 127 batters. He's been one of the top pitchers in the National League, and if Jacob deGrom wasn't having a record year, I'd say Scherzer is a outside shot at a Cy Young award in the National League. But I think he has that locked up at this point. But Scherzer's had a great year and doesn't make even the reserves.
Yeah, and the other one I think might be maybe a little bit of a question for me is Justin Turner. Justin Turner is probably numbers wise a lot better right now. He's batting 295, 83 hits. I think he's got better numbers than Nolan Arenado. I mean, Nolan, right now only batting 264. Yeah, he's got 16 home runs, but you look at Justin Turner, and I think he gets snubbed pretty hard there.
Yeah, but Arenado, he's just a popular player. Speaking of players that we want to talk about and that had great stats, who's your player of the week?
My player of the week is got to be Atlanta Braves Ozzie Albies. 6 games, he's batting 400, 3 home runs, 13 RBIs. He's got an OPS of 1.16. But for me, and you know this as much in growing up watching Griffey and all that, I'm still a small ball person. I want to see the guys move. He went 3 for 4 on stolen base attempts. So just all around great week for Ozzie.
I'm going to go outside the box this week because I followed you with the Scherzer pick last week. I'm going to give my player of the week award to Detroit Tigers starting pitcher Willie Peralta. Yes, he only averaged 6 innings on his 2 starts last week, but he does go 2-0. Did not give up an earned run, only gave up the 1 unearned run in his 2 starts. Struck out 11, didn't walk a single batter, and only gave up 6 hits. I know Detroit is completely out of it right now. They're what? They're 10.5 back. That's exactly what the Yankees are, but the Yankees are out of it too. But only 7 games under 500. I think even though they're not having a great season, they're having a surprising season. I think everyone kind of listed them as the last place team in the division, and they've had the last couple weeks have been fantastic.
Oh, I agree 100%. And listening to Detroit, Eric Hench was on one of the shows there this morning, and he's just excited to see what his team has done over the past 2 weeks. So, all of those guys are buying into what he's doing, and Eric Hench had to rebuild that coaching staff after he was gone last year for the whole Spygate and the getting caught with stealing signs, all that. So, I don't think Detroit will make the big push to get back up there.
No.
I think it's Chicago's to lose, but Chicago's got to get those players back if they want to do anything. So,
right, for sure. How about a series to watch this week? I've been so high on the Reds all year long, and now they get the Milwaukee Brewers this weekend in a matchup of first place versus second place. Reds right now 6 games out of first in the Central as the Milwaukee's trying to run away with it, but that's going to be a really fun series.
I agree 100%. I like just what the Brewers are doing, so just hot on it. Now, I would say our series, because I get excited when we play, when our teams play, but I don't think that's the one. I think this weekend I think this one is going to be. Give me the other team I was talking about earlier. Give me Toronto and Tampa Bay. In Tampa Bay, that'll make Eric happy. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be interesting. And the big thing, both of them are Tampa's in second place in the AL East. I think they're leading the wild card, if I'm not mistaken. Toronto is right there a few games back. But both of those ball clubs have plus 67 over for point differentials. So look for a lot of offense out of these two ball clubs. It's going to be an exciting series this weekend, and I'm really looking forward to that one.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Pitchers beware, for sure. There, especially some of the young hitters. Just if you don't follow MLB on YouTube, they come out with a video every week. They do that the free YouTube game of the week. And they always have one player from each team mic'd up, and then they do the best of later on once they edit it down. Last week it was the Toronto Blue Jays versus Seattle Mariners, and they had Teoscar Hernandez for the Blue Jays, and they had Ty France for the Mariners mic'd up. Baseball players are the funniest people in the world when they have fun and are goofing around, and the conversations they get into. Just go check it out. I laugh at it every week when they post it. But the young players for both of those teams, both the Rays and Blue Jays, have just been absolutely fantastic. And especially for the Rays with bringing up Franco and now bringing up Brujan is just getting better and better. And as a Yankee fan, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Well, you say the same thing, and they were talking this morning when I turned on. I had MLB Network on going, but it's the same thing. Baseball players have a good time. You know what you talked about Miggy a little while ago and how he likes to have fun. But the other was, how about Mookie Betts? They were talking about Mookie Betts in the World Series, and I know I'm going to say his name wrong. Willie for the Brewers. I want to say Adames. That's not Adames. And they were talking, and actually Mookie Betts told him how much he loved his game and turned him on to his private hitting coach. Now you look at it, Adames, and he's got huge numbers happening in Milwaukee right now. It's just crazy to think about having those little bit of extra help from, Mookie Betts, who says, I like your game, but here, let me help you a little bit. I mean, baseball players are just like that.
Yeah. And listen, you play 162 games, you have to find goofiness to balance things out.
Oh, yeah.
And people have been trying to figure out for years, how do you save baseball? Baseball is boring. Baseball is hard to watch. You're not going to get the younger audience. You need more of that. You need more of the players getting mic'd up. I remember Anthony Rizzo being mic'd up live on a spring training game with ESPN and talking to the broadcasters while he was up at the plate, kind of going through his process of what he's looking at. And my favorite is he hits it into the gap and he's like, I'm going for 2. And he turns the corner and goes, oh, no, never mind. It comes back. But obviously you don't need to do it live and have live conversations like that. But just show more of those interactions and the goofiness that happens. Obviously, everyone, when they talk about get more character in the game, all they think about is the bat flips and the over-the-top celebrations. No, these players have the silliest conversations while they're on the base pass. Show that.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with NFL films when they
Mhm.
when they mic up their guys for NFL films for the week, and they got away from it this last year, but it would
Oh,
be sure
yeah,
to
no, they
get back
didn't,
into it.
because ESPN was like, "Hey, let's show Sam Darnold because he's afraid of ghosts." Like,
Yeah,
no, we don't need that. We need the happy stuff. Like Ty
yeah.
France is asking George Springer in this video I'm talking about what he would be if he wasn't a baseball player. George Springer's like, probably a bum. I don't know. So probably golfing. Just and then he asked Ty, and he goes, I have no idea. That's why I asked you. I couldn't come up with an answer. All right, let's get into some power rankings, and we were really, really close this week. I believe we now have a definitive top 5
Yeah, I think you and
team.
I had our 3 and 4s flipped around as the only ones I think
That's
we
it.
had different.
Mm-hmm.
So
So we have what is it? The Padres 5th. We have the Red Sox 2nd, and the Dodgers 1st. We just have the Giants and Astros flipped 3-4.
yeah.
And I don't think there's a single team that I had an issue with not putting in my top 5. Did you?
No, not at all. Actually, and I was curious if you were going to do the same thing, but if you want to get technical, everybody, we had actually the top 6 all the same. We actually also have the Milwaukee Brewers there at number 6. They just had a great week, but the only reason I think I moved Houston above San Francisco was they just had a little bit better week. I mean, you look at what they did overall. And I think bottom line, the Giants struggled. They only played 5 games. Houston played 7 games in a row. They just been hot, and that's the only reason I move them one up above the other.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of really good teams. I'm not saying that. Brewers are having a good year. White Sox are a good year. Obviously, the Rays and the A's and the Blue Jays all battling out for that wild card right now. But just the top 5 right now, I think, are just so set, and then you can just mix and match. By the way, you still have the Mariners way too damn high.
No, I don't think so.
Robert has the Mariners as a top 10 team, and it's driving me insane. I think I had them 16th this week and felt like it was too high. And he's like, no, 10th.
I have them at 10th. You had them at 14th. So you're climbing up on there. So, and I think
14th is about right.
Yeah,
just above average is just right for Seattle.
I think our biggest difference this week, as I'm looking at it right now, I think it was the Atlanta Braves. I had them a lot lower than what you do. You had them at 12. I think I had them at 19.
I think the Braves are turning things around. I think they're figuring it out. And we asked this question either last week or the week before, who is going to win the NL East, because we both believe the Mets are going to fall out of it. I was dead set on the Nationals over the last week or so. The Braves have been impressing me, and I think they have a shot. So,
yeah.
But a long ways to go.
Oh yeah, long ways, especially when you look at the top. Everybody except for Miami. Maybe Miami gets there, but every one of those teams are within 4 games of the lead. So it's going to end up being a coin flip. And it's going to be a great September, I think, in that division.
And even the Miami Marlins, who are 9 games out, have a plus 21 run differential. Their expected win-loss record is better than anyone else in that division. They just find ways to lose games that they shouldn't because they're young and they can't figure it out.
You look at every one of their games, this week, all of them were 5-5, except for Atlanta and Philly, and they were 6-4.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're all right there playing 500 ball together.
Let's quickly look at the MLB scoreboard. Right now, the Brewers and Mets are still delayed. I've been waiting for DeGrom to start his pitching outing. A good chance that that'll probably get postponed till tomorrow. They postponed the Indians and Rays game a day in advance with all of the hurricane warnings and stuff going on there. But currently going on right now, no games or finals because the Major League Baseball has decided no day games so far this week. But the Orioles are up on the Blue Jays 7-3 in the bottom of the 8th. Couple really fun ones. I actually have the Dodgers and Marlins up on my side screen. They are tied at 1 in the bottom of the 7th. So are the Braves and the Pirates. They're tied at 1 in the bottom of the 8th inning right now. Rangers over the Tigers 5-2 in the bottom of the 6th. Phillies scored 7 runs in the first 2 innings, and they are crushing the Cubs, who are on pace right now to lose their 11th straight game. Phillies up 9-3 in the top of the 5th inning. Luis Castillo's pitching a gem right now against the Royals. Reds lead that one 5-0 in the top of the 5th. White Sox over the Twins 2-0 in the 6th inning. In a great AL West matchup that I know Robert's paying attention to, the Oakland is beating Houston right now 6-3 in the bottom of the 5th inning. And just getting underway with a lot of points all over the place. Boston and the Angels are both tied at 1 in the bottom of the 1st inning. Ohtani with an RBI double for the Angels. The Diamondbacks 3-0 over the Rockies in the bottom of the 1st, and there's still not a single out. Here's how the Diamondbacks have gone in the bottom of the 1st inning. Rojas doubled, Peralta doubled and scored Rojas. Escobar doubled and scored Peralta. Walker doubled and knocked in Escobar. 4 batters up, 4 doubles, 3-0 Diamondbacks. And just because he heard Robert Hagen was hating on him, Nolan Arenado with a 2-run home run in the top of the 1st inning. Cardinals 2, Giants nothing in the top of the 1st. And here in about 10-15 minutes, you get the Nationals and Padres and the goddamn Yankees and the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll keep a couple more things here, the MLB, and then we'll bump things over. But I have a few questions for you. Over the next few things here. Yes. The Red Sox have 54 wins right now, and they're projected to have at least 95. Over under, they make 95 wins.
God, under. I don't think anybody in the American League goes over 95.
Okay. The Diamondbacks have 23 wins.
This is 30.
Over under, they make 50.
They have to make 50, right? There's no way they don't win 50 games.
I feel bad for Goldschmidt and all those guys there. They've got good players.
No, Goldie's in St. Louis. He don't care anymore about it.
I thought, well, there I go. All right, here's one. And just because you talked about him earlier, he is part of the conversation of the 7 pitchers. But right now there's 4 pitchers with 9 wins, 3 pitchers with 10 wins. What's the over-under that 3 players have 20 wins at the end of the season?
No, it's under. We're already past halfway in the season. Teams looking to make the playoffs are going to spread these guys out. They still have that stupid September rule where you can bring up a bunch more people, and they're not going to pitch as often, especially if they start getting bigger leads. I don't think we get more than 3 people with 20 wins.
Yeah, because you look at those players that have 10 wins right now. If my computer will let me get back over there, you've got Kershaw with 9, Evaldi with 9, DeSclafani with 9, Bassett with 9, and then you got Urias with 10, Hendricks with 10, and Savali with 10. Savali, I don't think you get any of those. Myself, I would maybe take 1 to get there, but I don't think it's even right. So. All right, let's see. This is the most interesting one. We're getting ready to go into the All-Star break.
Yep.
And I threw this out there. It's not an over-under, but the Angels, Shohei Ohtani, does he hit a home run in the All-Star game? In the All-Star game on Tuesday?
No, I'll say no. Especially if he pitches 2, I think he gets 1 at bat, and I don't think he homers there. Score update real quick. Yordan Alvarez hits his 2nd home run of the night. This one, the 3-run variety. We're now all tied in Houston as it's 6-6 between the A's and the Astros. Real quick with college baseball, the Mississippi State wins the College Baseball World Series, winning Game 3 9-0. Will Bednar throws 6 no-hit innings for Mississippi State. Strikes out 4. Landon Smith throws the next 3 innings, only gave up the 1 hit as Carter Young broke up the no-hitter with 1 out in the 8th inning. That game was a blowout quick, and then all you were watching for was if they could get a no-hitter to win it all. Just came up a little short. And they might have limited the September call-ups. I know things got changed in 2020, and I haven't looked too much into what stuck and what was just a 1-year deal. So I have to look into that. You are listening before we get into the fun. You are listening to the R&R Sports Report. I got to do the normal stuff here. Obviously, you're either watching this on Facebook or YouTube. So thank you so much for viewing us on either one of those. If this is your first time or you haven't yet, please follow or subscribe on either of those two things. Let your friends know all about it. We thank all of you for hanging out with us and getting us to over the 500 mark as far as followers on Facebook. I'm trying to get better at promoting us on Twitter and trying to just tweet more. I'm not good at it. If you want to follow us on Twitter, I'm at Randy Isbo, which is obviously the most original Twitter handle of all time. And Robert, who talked about changing his Twitter handle when we first started the show, still hasn't. He is at Bowling Teacher. If you want to follow Robert.
Yeah.
Before we get into the news, sir, I want to get into the fun because I warned Eric what we were doing at the 7:00 hour here on the show, and it's 7:00, and I want to get to it. And if we have time, we'll hit some more NFL news. But right now, it is time for Randy's Believe It or Not. This is the NFL Prop Bets edition. I found prop bets that are off of the Bovada website. I found these today. Obviously, we are even though we're not at the college right now, we are a college radio station, so we have to state it out there. We do not promote gambling. We're not telling you to go gamble. These are just for fun. These are just fun bets that we're able to find. We do not live in a state that allows us to gamble, so these are just for funsies. But I want Robert to tell me if he was putting some jelly beans on this bet, would he put it on any of these?
All right.
You got jelly beans to spend. Anybody,
As
and also anybody.
As long as there's not the bad ones that we did for your when we did the huge video game night where
the
you made
Harry Potter ones.
Yes,
or whatever,
none of those, please.
The bamboozles ones.
Yeah.
All right. So anybody that's not into gambling at all, this is how it works. The numbers that they give you as odds are basically what you would win if you bet 100 jelly beans, is what we'll say. So, Robert, you have 100 jelly beans, and I will tell you how much jelly beans you would win if you take this prop bet. You got to tell me, would you take it or not? All right?
Okay.
You aren't encouraging anyone to gamble. Hey, calm down, Eric. All right, here's your first one. You bet 100 jelly beans. I will give you 275 jelly beans if both the Rams and the Chargers both make the playoffs. Do you make that bet?
Rams and the Chargers.
Both Los Angeles teams.
And all they have to do is make the playoffs, right?
Just have to make the playoffs, and you win yourself a big pile of jelly beans.
As long as they're not the buttered flavored jelly beans that my wife likes to sneak in and give me. No.
Do we need something else?
I'm going to take.
How about you bet 100 ribs and or steaks? There you go. I don't know what you want to do.
Well, get Richie to bring us some steaks. We need to. We need to do that.
Would you take this bet?
I think I would take this one. Just because I'm interested to see how the Rams play this year, but I'm excited to see what Herbert could do. I think he leads them there. They only have to make the playoffs, so I think that is going to happen.
Eric, I want you to answer these two since you are so awesome always and chatting with us, and I know you are the gambler down there in Florida.
Yeah, since we're not allowed to gamble in the state of Washington or in the state of Idaho. Yeah. So
for me, I would take that bet that they would both make it. All right.
Yeah.
Here's a fun one. You get 100 jelly beans. I'll give you 400 jelly beans if the Jets, the Giants, and the Texans all finish last in their respective divisions. So 4-1 odds.
I don't think I could take that. I think the Giants are going to be a little bit better, but I also think I don't think the Texans. I'm excited, and I've said it a few times over the last few shows. I'm excited for your team this year. I'm excited to see what happens for your Jets, I don't think they finish fourth. It'll be interesting to see, but I don't think the Giants will either. So I'm gonna shy away from this one.
I think the Texans are near a lock. I know everyone is high on the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence. I think they're taking the right steps, just like my New York Jets are. But I don't think they're taking giant steps. So it's not like I expect the Jaguars all of a sudden to be around 500. You can't say 500 anymore with 17 games, so it messes everything up. But I do think the Jets do finish last, even if they win 5 or 6 games. Obviously, Buffalo's really good. Miami's been taking good steps. And as much as we all want to see New England tumble, I don't think they're going to tumble that far. It's the NFC East that scares me. I think the Giants are good. Who knows who finishes last? And honestly, I think the Eagles probably are a worse team. I'm not a big Daniel Jones fan, but I do think the Giants are at least better than the Eagles, if not better than the Cowboys and the football team. So no, I would not take that bet as well. Okay, same odds here. 4-1, 100 jelly beans. You can win 400 if the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Denver Broncos, and the New Orleans Saints all win 9 or more regular season games.
Wow. Well, listen, the Steelers are not going to be in the top side of that division this year. You know it's going to be Baltimore. You know it's going to be Cleveland.
Now you have to think 9 wins now basically means that you just have to be over 500.
Right.
9-8 is all they have to be.
But we talk about a team that started out 11-0, and then they threw a big hiccup.
That's good enough for this bet.
and they pooped an egg. I don't see the Steelers getting there. The Saints, it's hard to go against the Saints, especially with a Saints fan in the house. Just saying, it's hard to bet against them. I think they get at least 9 wins. But the Broncos, I think the Broncos are the wild card here. I don't know. They will be. Could they be the worst team in that division? Yes, I think they still will be the worst team. I don't think they make 9, so I am going to say no again on that one.
How many jelly beans would you give me if I took the opposite and I put 100 jelly beans on Pittsburgh, Denver, and New Orleans, all not reaching 9 wins? Would that be higher odds or lower odds? If I say that Pittsburgh, Denver, and New Orleans, none of them will reach 9 wins. Because that's what I think.
Right. Boy, right at 9 wins. You're saying that the Saints are really gonna fall off.
Yeah.
They had 12 wins last year.
They got rid of a lot of people. When you have to dump $100 million in cap space, your team's not going to be the same. It's not just Drew Brees.
I would probably agree with you. I would probably give you the same odds at 4-1.
I'd bet it. It would be. It's really close. Denver's very interesting because I do think they're just a quarterback away. They have a very good surrounding cast, but yeah. Here, let's do this one real quick. We're going a little longer than I was thinking, but these are too fun. Chiefs, Buccaneers, and Ravens. Bet 100 jelly beans, you'll win 425 of them if all 3 of those teams win 12 games or more in the regular seasons. Chiefs, Buccaneers, and Ravens all at 12 wins or more.
All day long. Day long. I think that's 100%. I might even throw 2 bills to get.
No, 200 jelly beans. There's no bills.
Well, no, to get 800. $2 bills to get 800 jelly beans.
There you go. I agree with you. Now we get into some of the funner ones, I think. All right. 100 jelly beans is going to win you 1,000 jelly beans if the Dallas Cowboys win the NFC East and Micah Parsons wins the AP Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I maybe. I think so. I think Dallas could be one of the stronger teams in that division this year if Dak stays healthy the entire time, because 7-9 won it last year. So we look at
Right.
it, what 7-8 could win, or 7-10 could win it this
Oh,
year.
that would be so brutal.
Micah Parsons is an interesting pick for defensive rookie of the year.
Mhm.
Heck, I'll roll the dice. Yeah, give me that bet. I'll roll it.
For 10-1 odds, I'm down. I'd take
Yeah.
it. All right. Again, 18-1 odds. So 100 jelly beans will turn into 1,800 jelly beans if the Houston Texans go 0-17 in the regular season.
I have not seen their schedule yet this year. What does their schedule look like?
It doesn't matter. Does Deshaun Watson play or not?
No, Deshaun Watson probably will not play. I don't think 0-17.
There's no way, right? There's no way.
I'm just trying to look at the schedule to think, who could they win against? Who could they beat? Who could they beat? There might be a chance looking at their schedule right now.
So you put down 100 jelly beans?
No, I think I think they might come away with a win in week 3 against Carolina.
Houston also, or Eric also says no on Houston. I just don't, I can't see it. All right, this one is the Eric special. I saw this one, and this is actually the prop bet that made me come up with this game. 20-1 odds. 100 jelly beans can turn into 2,000 jelly beans if Tim Tebow scores the first Jaguars touchdown of the season. I love it. I love it.
I unfortunately, I'm going to say no. He's going to barely make the team, but I don't know how much they're going to throw to him down in the red zone. So, no, I don't see that happening.
100% I'm putting down 100 jelly beans and just praying. I'm getting into the Tim Tebow pose and sitting there until the first score happens. Because you know what? You never know. Urban Meyer as the new head coach, already getting fines. Who knows? It'll be great. Here's one that I'm putting down instantly because I don't understand it, and this has to be an error. And maybe Eric can teach me on this. 30-1 odds. 100 jelly beans turns into 3,000 if the Baltimore Ravens win the AFC North and Lamar Jackson wins the MVP. To me, that just means you're betting that Lamar Jackson wins the MVP. Because if he wins the MVP, obviously the Ravens won the AFC North. Am I wrong in that?
No, I think you're 100%. You and I talked about it pre-show that, he's a, 16-1 favorite.
12. He was 12-1 on Bovada as far as MVP goes.
No,
you're right. 16-1. You're right. 16-1. So that's another 14-1 on top of it that they would win their division, which they're favored to do. And you're not going to win the MVP on a team that doesn't win your division.
Yeah. Give me 3,000 jelly beans. I won't have to buy jelly beans for years.
100%.
100%.
That's the smart bet. If you are in a state that's capable of betting legally, that's the bet. And the final one, just for funds, which again, I put this on here because I can't believe it's as close as the Ravens one. But 40-1 odds, 100 jelly beans turns into 4,000 if the Jets, my New York Jets, win the AFC East and Zach Wilson is named the AP Offensive Rookie of the Year. How is that only 10-1 higher odds than the Ravens winning the AFC North and Jackson winning the MVP?
Listen, I'm so high on your team this year. I'm excited I've said it. I'm excited to see what happens. But do you really think your Jets will be able to
100%
lock up the AFC East with the Buffalo Bills?
100% no. I'm not taking that bet. I'm taking the Lamar Jackson bet. I'm not taking the Jets bet ever. Just for funsies, the biggest bet on here as far as these NFL regular season specials that are on Bovada, 70-1 if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go 20-0 and win the Super Bowl.
Um, no, I don't see that happening. There's just no way. No, too many. Not seeing their schedule out 100%, and they're going to run into Patrick Mahomes. They're going to run
They'll find a
into.
lose.
They'll
find a way to
they'll
lose a
find.
game.
Yeah.
Tom
Yeah.
Brady doesn't care. I do find it interesting that they have better odds that the Jets would win the AFC East with Zach Wilson winning Offensive Rookie of the Year than the Falcons making the playoffs and Matt Ryan being the MVP. That's surprising to me. Very, very surprising to me. All right, sir, it's your turn. You have a new game you're going to play.
Yeah, so the thing for me, we talked about there was so much stuff going on with MLB right now, and also with now some of these NFL coaches that got fined over the last week because of OTA stuff. And I decided I'm going to come up with a little question scenarios for would you rather for Coach Randy, or I'm going to pose.
I got my coaching hat on,
but I'm gonna change it just a little bit to start, not knowing. Do you want to? I'm gonna do it a little bit different. Would you rather coach or GM, or should I say GM? And I'm gonna say it GM/athletic director.
I'd rather be a GM.
Okay.
So I love to do it on MLB The Show and stuff and building teams. And obviously there's a lot more that goes into it with the GM. And I'm far from qualified, but I would much rather be a GM than a coach.
Okay. So would you rather do, in that case, then, would you rather be the athletic director of a college or building a professional team?
There's a lot more randomness, I think, when it comes to college because they are rotating at least every 4 years. I mean, you're not going to have the same roster. It's basically to build a great college program, you have to find a good coach that is a great recruiter. I think that is the key when it comes to college. And I'm not a good recruiter. So I would rather go the pro style and then work the draft and work trades and free agency and everything there. So I think I'd go pro.
Right. Even with all of this stuff going on in Major League Baseball with the Trevor Bauer thing, with the OTA stuff, with the fines.
Colleges go through it just as much.
Yep. Yep. So then the next, would you rather win a World Series then? Or would you rather win a Super Bowl?
Oh, I'm a baseball guy. It's got to be a World Series. It's a cooler trophy too.
So far, I see you leaning more to being a new Brian Cashman right now is what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah, I would love to take Cashman's job. The first thing I would do is fire Aaron Boone. And everyone would love me.
Well, we'll see here in a little while. Hopefully that, maybe after the Seattle series that happens. Who knows? So with that being the case and thinking about putting yourself in the Brian Cashman thing, would you rather coach a team that's below average team, or would you coach a rival to win a title?
So you're asking, so are we going coach or GM?
Or GM. So would you rather have a team that's below average that never wins, or would you leave that scenario to go to a job of a team that could win championships?
So you're saying, would I rather GM the Miami Marlins or the Boston Red Sox? And it's Miami. I would never go to Boston. That's not true. Honestly, if I graduate college and the Boston Red Sox offer me any job anywhere in sports media, I'm taking my Yankee hat. I'm setting off to the side. I'm still a Yankee fan, but Boston, show me the money. I can't. You're putting me into the job that I want, then let's go. But yeah, but if you're giving me the choice, I'd rather rebuild a team. I think rebuilding sounds a lot of fun.
So that would you rather be now I have it written as a coach, but would you rather be a strategist and use the team that you have, or would you rebuild? And I think
I'd
you
rebuild.
you just answered it. Based on that, you would definitely go with a younger, energetic team than deal with veterans.
Yeah, 100%.
All
Because
right.
then it's cheaper anyways, and especially if I'm the GM of the Marlins, I have no money. So
All right, so here's the best one of all.
okay.
You're like 70 years old. It's time for you to retire.
Okay.
Would you want to retire as being a winningest, a coach with or a GM with a winning record, or a famous coach to lose championships and make it to the championships?
Get to the championships but not win, or somebody
Yep.
that does well but never makes
Never
it to
makes
the
the
promised
champion.
land?
Yep.
God. Yeah, I mean, you got to get to the championship. Obviously, honestly, the fame thing doesn't bother me. Like, if I retire and I'm famous or not, I don't care. It's get me at least close to the championship more than anything.
Well, I thought you sent me a little bit for a loop there, because I figured you would go coaching. I know you love the numbers part. You love the idea about building your team. But I figured you would go more to the coaching style. You
It's
know,
one of my favorite things to do with MLB The Show is doing the dynasty mode. Obviously, I picked the Yankees just because I want to play as the Yankees, but I always do a franchise draft, and then I'll build it from there. And then the cool thing with those games, other than this year, is you can play season to season, and when the new game comes out, you can continue on your same franchise. And that's what I like to do, is try to rebuild through a team, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now. So yeah, I think GM is definitely far more. And you've seen my coaching style. I would not make a good coach. I mean, we were coaching 10-year-olds, but
I was just saying we were coaching 10-year-olds, 2 years ago, and that's a whole different ball game than, because I'm getting ready to start my 8th year as a junior high, and of football kids that have never played the game. So it's an interesting thought of how would I go about if I put myself in the same situation. I think I'd rather be the coach. I don't think I want to deal with numbers all the time with it. I mean,
you know me. With our bowling league, I'm the numbers guy. Just let's go with it. NBA Finals is at halftime right now, as the Phoenix Suns are leading the Milwaukee Bucks 57-49, just about to start the second half. Obviously, we've said this multiple times. We're not huge NBA guys, but give me a prediction, Robert. Who wins the championship? How do you not tell me? Giancarlo Stanton with a 3-run bomb.
I have
Yankees 3, Mariners nothing.
I still have the matchup on my TV,
turn the game off now, because it's only going to get bad from here.
I'm still up right now, 15th hole, and DeChambeau and Rogers are up 3, so I haven't turned it off yet. So, does Phil Mickelson lose his first? I think
it's not looking great for him.
No.
I'd hire Eric as at least my assistant coach, if not my head coach.
Oh yeah,
he could do some good X's and O's for sure.
All day.
But who are you winning the championship?
I put this down before. I didn't think Giannis was going to start tonight, and now we find out that he did start. I have not seen how many points he has so far, but the Phoenix Suns have just played very well this year. They kind of shocked me, but I'm sticking with the team that I said that I figured the East was going to be the stronger side. I had Brooklyn and the Bucks at the end, so give me the Bucks in 7.
I'll say Bucks in 6, but I'm not confident in it. It was the same thing with Giannis. Of if he wasn't going to play in the series, obviously you take the Suns. I think the Suns have had a great run, but they've also kind of gotten a little lucky with injuries, and they almost did here too. But yeah, I'll take the Bucks as well, which means the Suns will win it in 5, because we don't know what the hell we're talking about. But speaking of not knowing what we're talking about, but being completely right, I am one win away from picking the correct Stanley Cup champion, even though I didn't get the perfect matchup right. But Montreal did survive in overtime last night to avoid the sweep. Game 5 is tomorrow. Is at the end of the Stanley Cup tomorrow?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm gonna say they win one more. Just let's have a little bit of fun with it. But yeah, Eric is not a Lightning fan by any means.
So I looked at this just a second ago, Randy, and you and I, maybe we did miss this one, but in the first half, Giannis has 13 points, 10 rebounds, and he's 1 for 2 from 3-point land in 18 minutes. So
that's not bad in 24. I mean, he's always got for 6 for a big man. I'm totally cool with that. If that's what you're telling me his contributions are going to be.
That's what it's looking like right now.
Other NHL news, which was really, really just sad to see, and even sadder for me to try to pronounce this guy's name. Matisse Keflenix. I apologize to his family if for some reason you're watching this show. But he passed away on Sunday night after a fireworks accident at the home of the team's goaltending coach. He was a goaltender for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He was just 24 years old. He was signed as a free agent in 2017. Only played 8 games for the Blue Jackets, going 2-2-2 with a 3.09 goals against average. Played more of his time in the AHL for the club, but just sad to see. Obviously, with the 4th of July, you always dread hearing these kind of stories, and it sounds like they had set off a bunch of mortars and the box tipped over and shot it right at him and hit him with one. And it's just not a fun story. I'm not going to go on a big rant about fireworks and safety and stuff because I know a lot of people love this stuff. I just don't find them entertaining anyway, so I just don't do fireworks anymore. But I'm not one of those proponents of, you shouldn't do fireworks because of safety hazards and stuff. Obviously, here in the LC Valley, I was a proponent of no fireworks just because we haven't had rain in 3 years and it is so gross outside. But I have nothing against fireworks. I just don't find them fun. But this is not a fun story at all.
No, not at all. And Denise and I even talked about it when you sent it to me that she had read it, but and they said he took it a shot in the chest.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the worst part about it. You think, okay, you got hit with a huge mortar right in your chest, and to cause that much damage, just so very sad to see. So
absolutely. Did the Shock play this week?
No, the Shock didn't end up playing at all. So they will be they rescheduled that game it's later date in the end of August. So the Shock are at home on Saturday. I got to play in a golf tournament early. I really thought about maybe road tripping. I don't know. They're at home this weekend and next weekend. They welcome in the other Storm team. They'll take on Sioux Falls at 6:05 at the Spokane Arena.
All right, let's get back to the NFL real quick because I pushed this segment back just so we could hit the fun games at the top of the hour. But your NFL news, the Jacksonville Jaguars have signed Trevor Lawrence to his rookie deal. It's 4 years, $36.8 million with a $24 million bonus. It does include a 5th-year option. And you put on here, DJ Chark says, we're going to shock a lot of people. And you asked if he's overconfident. 100% yes. And I don't blame him. Looking at some of the quarterbacks that they've had, no complete disrespect to Gardner Minshew, but he's not a top-tier NFL talent. Of course, he's going to be excited and want to shock the world. And I do think they're going to improve. But I've been seeing a lot of people that are saying that the Jaguars have a chance to finish as high as second, with a chance to win the division and make the playoffs this year. And that I don't see. They may sneak into second because another team really, really struggles that we're not expecting. But I don't see them being over 500 this year. And I don't think that's a shot at Jacksonville. It's like the Jets. They're taking the steps in the right direction, but they don't have that great of a roster.
Well, I looked at the big thing with that roster, and you say that DJ Chark and I'm trying to remember the other. I had it written down as um, don't really have a receiving core. I mean, that's where they could easily gain some ball club because you've got Marvin Jones Jr. and you have DJ Chark. I mean, those are the only two that you've got there that are worth a plug nickel, unless you think, okay, they're going to throw, and even the four tight ends that they're probably going to go with.
5 Tebow.
Well, they have right now. ESPN has they have Jackson. They have Tebow as the number 4 tight end.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting. But I mean, you got Luke Farrell, you got James O'Shaughnessy, and Chris Manhertz. Tell me, in that receiving core, if you look elsewhere in there, Philip Dorsett and Colin Johnson. Tell me who is Trevor Lawrence going to throw to?
Travis Etienne.
Yeah, and that might be it. I mean, it might be Etienne and James Robinson. Carlos Hyde's going to be there. Carlos Hyde.
I like the running group. The wide receiver group's fine. DJ Shark's good. Marvin Jones is good. Laviska Shenault, we'll wait to see as far as him. I think their defense is okay. Their offensive line is okay. I don't think they're terrible, but they weren't one quarterback away from all of a sudden being a playoff team. And Eric says we've been overconfident before, 7-10 in the making. If the Jaguars go 7-10, you should jump for joy. 7-10 is a great year for the Jaguars. It's the same for the Jets. We'll make our predictions in a month or so, but most likely I'm predicting 5-12 or 6-11 for the Jets, and that's optimistic of me. And I just want to see them take strides, and I think that's what Jacksonville needs to do as well. It's just sometimes it just gets so crazy, and then you get the Jags along with the Cowboys and the 49ers already getting some OTA violations with no pads during this time and all this. I don't care. NFL teams are like any other teams. They're going to push the envelope as much as they can. And these fines, I don't think, bug them at all.
Well, no, and then they'll also lose a couple of days next year of practice and for OTAs. But we're talking about OTAs, So, yeah, let them. Some of these guys, they might get a little chippy and all that, but let them have some fun. Get them out there, get them practicing, be excited about the changes for your teams. But on the other hand, with these couple of teams, look at Kyle Shanahan. You're already down 2 guys now for the 2021 season with offensive line Justice School and D-back Tavarius Moore, both out after getting injured at minicamp stuff. So, when do you start drawing the line there? But, practice is practice. If you want them to practice, put them in pads during this time. Start letting them bargain. Get the Players Association in there. Get them in there bargaining in that during these OTAs they can practice. They can have pads on. Let's simple it up there for them.
And the Washington football team was fined $10 million for all their harassment and workplace misconduct. Is that enough?
Oh, yeah, I think that's more than enough. They're going to end up donating it anyway. I think the bigger thing for me is Daniel Snyder kind of making the comment, well, I didn't realize all this was going on. Dude, you're the president of the team. You're the CEO of the team. You got to know what's going on there,
right. Or at least
all the time. And now, and I'm not sure. I think this is the daughter, Tanya Schneider, is now going to become the co-CEO and deal with the day-to-day operation. And Daniel Snyder is going to work on other things, including developing a new stadium for Washington. So,
how about you come up with a name first, Daniel?
Get a name and let's get the other issues taken care of before trying to sweep it up. And again, it's another one of those let's sweep it under the rug kind of things and move on.
Mm-hmm. And one last quick story here. The Secretary of Defense and the Navy will allow cornerback Cameron Kinley to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that's the right move. I like it. I'm very happy for it. I mean, obviously he's on the Buccaneers and with Tom Brady, so I have to hate him. But it's a good move to let him.
Oh yeah, let him play. You know, he's gonna be there. Let him do his couple of years here in Tampa Bay. If things don't work out for him, then he gets right back in and get back into the Navy. So.
All right, now let's get into these sports that do not get enough airtime, and let's start with Aussie rules football, where nice bounce back win for Geelong.
The first quarter, again, another ugly first quarter for Geelong. It takes them forever to get things going. I mean, the last 3 games, it's been that way. They just can't find any offense to start things off. But then all of a sudden, that second quarter for those guys, they have figured out what to do, and they just start running ragged. So, and go all over Essendon 98-57. So it was a great ball game.
Yeah, not exact opposite, but slightly different for my Hawthorn Hawks, who do lose to Port Adelaide. It wasn't the first quarter that was the issue; it was the second quarter, where Hawthorn in the second quarter had 0 goals and 1 behind, while Port Adelaide had 7 goals. I think at one point in this game they scored 9 straight goals after Hawthorn scored the first one, and it just imploded from there. A great second half. If you started over at halftime, it would have been very, very close in the second half. But they had put themselves in such a big hole, lose at 87-53. And then Sydney, who is in a battle with West Coast for positioning in the playoffs right now, crushes them. The poor West Coast Eagles get destroyed by the Swans, 118-26. A couple of standings or ladder moves for you in the AFL. Those good old Eric's favorite team, Western Bulldogs, have now moved up to number 1 as they are tied in points with Melbourne after Western took care of North Melbourne, which they should have. GWS has actually jumped past Richmond for that last playoff spot right now, with Richmond, Fremantle, and St. Kilda just 2 points behind. So what do we got? 7 weeks left, right?
Yep. I believe that.
A lot going down as far as playoffs are concerned, and obviously Hawthorn trying not to get the old wooden spoon. That's for sure. I'm going to give you the schedule that I saw on the site that I've been using all year. Robert told me that the one match that it showed wasn't even the correct match that they had on, and they had 2 other games. So I'm going to tell you what I found, but please check your local listings to see if it's any different. I only found 2 games on FS2 this week. One on Friday at 2:30 a.m. Pacific time between Essendon and Adelaide. And then Friday at 11:30 p.m. Pacific time, you get Carlton and Geelong. So 2 good games if those are the 2 games that America gets.
Yeah, I'm just looking on mine right now on Fox 2 for Friday night. It just says teams to be determined. So they have not put that in yet.
Mine is only showing 1 game the rest of the year on FS1. And it's like week 20 as they get one. So hopefully they add more, because we just need more AFL on the screens. It's a fantastic sport, and we're spreading the word.
Yeah.
Even if nobody's listening. You watched more golf than I did this weekend. How did the Rocket Mortgage Classic go?
Oh my God, we had another sudden death playoff. It was another great tournament. I think I was more excited that we have another first-time winner on the PGA Tour. That's now 7 first-time winners on the PGA Tour this year. Cam Davis wins on the 5th playoff hole over Troy Merritt, and the winning score, they shot 18 under. Just looked really, really good. I feel bad for Joaquin Niemann. He bogeyed the first playoff hole, knocked himself out of contention. But Cam Davis, a young Aussie, comes up with his first win. So excited to see the youth for the PGA. Is just incredible to see some of these guys play. Our buddy Joel Damon had a great weekend. The first 2 days he makes the cut, but then pushes on Saturday and Sunday, and ends up at 12 under. He was still 6 strokes back, but ends up tied for 21st. So a good showing for Joel after not playing a couple weeks. One of the other big stories here for me is Hideki Matsuyama was forced to withdraw after shooting a 270 on Thursday. Got there Friday morning and tested positive and had to withdraw. So
I thought this month
or
was when
Thursday.
they're stopped testing, right? This month.
I thought that was true, but they made him withdraw, and so that mean who was it? Fowler and Mickelson had to play just as a twosome, and they played the same twosome because they were paired up with him. So lots of things going on there. So, and then the other big one, and you tell me, and I recorded the match where I could go back and listen while we were to see if they talk about it. But how about the split up between Bryson DeChambeau and his caddy just prior to the tournament? What's your make of that?
It doesn't surprise me. Bryson DeChambeau seems like he's a jerk from what I see on there. He was having fun and stuff from what was able to watch of the match, but he was kind of a little whiny about things as well and taking things too seriously. And I can see it getting frustrated on the road with the same people. I'm sure Joel and Gino might snip at each other from time to time, just from how that goes. And Bryson's a very intense individual. So honestly, it doesn't surprise me at all. How many caddies did Tiger Woods go through?
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. They did talk it. I did see an article about it from, I want to say it was his pre-stuff for the match today, and they talked about they left on good terms. Even his caddy was quoted by saying that that it was a mutual parting and all that. So they just get tired of each other or something. So
sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you just need a different perspective from somebody else. I get it.
And it looks like they're wrapping up, and it looks like DeChambeau and Rogers are going to end up winning 3 and 2 in the match play. So congrats to them here.
There you go.
And the one thing we were just talking about with Circling Ravens, it's the CDA Symetra is a championship. It's part of the women's younger tour coming out. So they'll be coming up Circling Ravens soon. So that's other golf news for you.
And next week, as far as the PGA goes, you get the John Deere Classic in Illinois next week. NASCAR news, you had them coming back to Road America in the first time in like 60 years, I think I read. Chase Elliott, unsurprisingly, wins another road course. He actually started 34th and worked his way through the field, was nowhere near the top till the final stage. He's already third all time in road courses. He has 7 wins. Tony Stewart's at 8, and Jeff Gordon is at 9. I think he just is going to obliterate that record. And Hendrick Motorsports continues to be red hot. They have now won 7 of the last 8 races, with Kyle Busch winning last week at Pocono with his fuel mileage conservation and 1 gear from what he used. I thought the race was okay from what I was able to watch. That road course is giant. It takes over 2 minutes to get around there. And then you get all these caution flags. I wish they could find a way to clear cars without having to drop yellows, especially right after restarts. Because restarts just take so long, or the yellow flags just take so long and kind of take you out of the race. But I thought it was pretty good. Next week's at Atlanta. It's one of my favorite tracks. There's a lot of tire wear that goes on there. So the strategy that gets involved at that racetrack's pretty fun. And then in Summer Olympic news, let's talk the controversial one first before we get into the cool one. Because I forgot to put this on here. But I want your take on Sha'Carri Richardson, who was pulled. She was banned for smoking pot before her race. What are your thoughts on that decision?
So it's almost like a double-edged sword, different standards. I mean, what happened with Michael Phelps a few years ago in the pictures and
Well,
and,
because their
and
thing is she took it right before the race. He was taking it like I don't think the Olympics care about marijuana in your recreational time, but she took it before. Not that I think that that is any kind of a benefit to her. Maybe it calms your nerves a little bit, but I don't think taking marijuana is going to make you run faster.
yeah, you wouldn't think so. So, they have to abide by them, but I don't know. With it being more a popular thing to do nowadays, it just it's that double-edged sword. Darned if you do, darned if you don't. I mean, I don't care. I don't do that kind of stuff or anything. We don't promote it, but I, I could tell you dozens that do it, and
Yeah.
so
But here's
whatever floats
also
your
the
boat.
thing. Here's my thing on it. I don't care if anyone partakes. I don't think it should be an illegal substance. However, right now on the Olympics or any of these other sports that the players get fined for or suspended for taking this stuff, it is against the rules right now. Whether you agree with it or not, you are with them and you have to follow their rules.
Hmm.
It's the same at a business. If I go work at some place and they say you can't do this, then you can't do that. No matter what it is, that's their job rules and if you don't follow them, you get fired.
Well, it's the same with NFL. If you same with drinking, DUI, all that. It should be the same thing, and
Yeah.
you're under watching all this stuff and being in front of everybody, and there's a lot of kids that look to you, look to
Mhm.
being the role model, and so when this happens, it just it hurts the team and it hurts the U.S. and because she could have easily been an easy
Mhm.
medalist
Yeah,
this year. So
100%. But just as again, I just want to reiterate: should it be illegal? No.
no,
Is it? Yes.
yes,
So deal with it, and until it changes, continue to work on making it legal in all of these sports and everything going around. But until then, don't get mad when you get in trouble for it because it's still against their rules. But the good story with the Olympics, and this was very cool. Assistant coach for the LCSC track and field team, Sam Atkin, is going to compete in the Olympics this year. He will be running in the 10,000-meter race. He's going to represent Great Britain. His event will take place on July 30th. He becomes the second LCSC athlete to earn a trip to the Olympics. Emerson Frostad of the LCSC baseball team ended up playing for Canada in 2008, which I believe was the last year they had baseball before it came back this year. As far as Atkin goes, he has 4 individual national titles with LC. He's a 9-time All-American, and LC voted him as the track and field and cross country MVP of the decade. So good luck to him. It's a very cool thing. Actually, his qualifying run that he did in California, which helped him get on the team, he wore his old LCSC uniform during the run. So I would have not checked out the 10,000-meter race before this, but I'm definitely checking it out on July 30th now.
yeah, and that's probably what we'll start talking about over the next couple of weeks. Is we'll start looking at the schedules and break them down and see and give us. We'll give you guys what we were gonna want to watch over those next few weeks of the Olympics. So
I'm hoping Peacock is getting better about showing live TV. They're showing the Stanley Cup Finals now live on Peacock, which is great for me because I don't have cable anymore. So either I have to find ways to watch it or I don't, unless they get on these streaming services. So that's really good. But now NBC is doing NASCAR and we don't get NASCAR live. So I don't understand that. You get soccer on Peacock and you get, there was something else on there. Sometimes you get golf. But I'm hoping because they do the Olympics that they're just going to throw a ton of sports on there. Because usually I hate watching the Olympics on NBC because it's usually the same 3 events and they have so much downtime in between because they want to tell the personal stories. I just want to see the events.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the events. So hopefully they just throw all of them out there and you can just pick and choose which ones you want to watch. I'll watch handball for sure. But yeah, we'll get into that as the weeks get on, and hopefully I find something that says that Peacock is going to do something cool for it.
They have been doing the some qualifying trials and stuff, and they have been showing that on MSN or MSN Sports and NBC Sports. So
yeah, I've been watching some of it on YouTube, some of the highlights and stuff. So I'm getting into the Olympic mood. But for now, it is this week, in sports history.
This week in sports history, got lots of things to cover. Here we go. First of all, this is for the week of June 30th through July 6th. In 1903, the Tour de France, the inaugural race began in Monteron, southeast suburb of Paris. In 1904, the third Summer Olympics, which was noted as the modern game Olympics, finally makes its first United States appearance in St. Louis. In 1911, Chicago White Sox pitcher Ed Walsh halts Ty Cobb's 40-game hit streak as Ty Cobb went 0 for 4. 1916, Pittsburgh shortstop Honus Wagner, at 42 years and 4 months of age, becomes the oldest to hit an inside-the-park home run. 1916, July 4th, we talked about it a little while ago. July 4th, immigrants gathered for the very first Nathan's famous hot dog stand in Coney Island and made an eating contest history. As the story goes, the competitors just wanted to see who was more patriotic. And how did they determine it? Well, let's shove a few hot dogs in our mouth.
What was the winning number? Do you know?
They did not have the winning number. They didn't start showing winning numbers until the 70s. So it's crazy. 1920, Washington Senators pitching legend Walter Johnson no-hits the Boston Red Sox for his only no-hitter in his entire career, which is kind of crazy. 1921, Jack Dempsey KOs Frenchman Jorge Charpentier in 4 rounds for his third title defense in front of a crowd of 91,000 in Jersey City. I'm just crazy to think about some of these numbers too. 1933, Carl Hubble worked 18 innings of shutout ball without a walk to beat the St. Louis Cardinals 1-0. Babe Ruth hits his was the first one to hit a home run in the first All-Star game at Kaminsky Park in 1933. 1934, Lou Gehrig hits his record 17th career grand slam and finishes his career with 23. Oh, let's see what else we got. New York Yankees team unveils the monument. Former captain Lou Gehrig in center field in 1941. Cal Ripken Jr. makes his first of his records consecutive MLB starts at shortstop for the Baltimore Orioles in 1982. This one I kind of thought was a cool one. 1993, A's outfielder Rickey Henderson led off both games of Oakland's doubleheader versus Cleveland with home runs. It was the first time that had happened since 1913. In 1998, Roger Clemens collects his 3,000th career hit as a Blue Jay. And in 2020, Kansas City Chief quarterback Patrick Mahomes agrees to the largest contract for an athlete in history, inking a 12-year deal that could end up being worth $503 million.
Crazy. All right. You couldn't stump me last week, so I'm scared.
No reason to be scared whatsoever at all. These are going to be quite easy, I think. So yeah. I'm gonna give you both of them because I did write both of them down. but you notice a lot of things were older, so it's going to be to the older age this year.
Yeah.
All the history this year was all pretty much pre 1968. So
pre Randy.
yeah, well, pre me. So let's go back to the inside the park home run, and we talked about
Okay.
Honus Wagner at 42 years of age hits is the oldest one to hit one. Do you know who leads the MLB or Major League? Let's just say Major League in inside the park home runs.
Ichiro.
No,
No.
not even. It is Jesse Burkett. He played from
You
1890.
said it was going to be easy.
No, I said it wasn't going to be easy. 1890 to 1905, he had 55. Ty Cobb owns the AL record with 46 inside the Parkers, and Tommy Leach, which is another name I've never heard of, leads the NL with 48 inside the Parkers. So I'm going to give you one that'll make up for it. We'd also talked about in there that Lou Gehrig hits his record 17th career Grand Slam and finishes with 23 in his career. Can you name, and that puts him on the list at number 2. Can you name number 1 in most career Grand Slams? Or I'll even challenge you. Can you do the top 5?
No, God, no. What? Barry Bonds.
No, he is not even on the list. We did say his name earlier in the show.
The Pujols?
No.
No, I don't know.
Alex Rodriguez had 25 inside the park home run, or sorry, most career Grand Slams was A-Rod. Lou Gehrig was 23. Manny Ramirez, we said him earlier too. He had 21. Eddie Murray had 19. And then there was a tie in 5th, Willie McCovey and Robin Ventura with 18. Go figure, Robin Ventura making a top 5 list in his career.
Oh, he was in the top 5 for guys that took down his pants.
Right, or took a right hand and then a left.
Yeah, that one too. which is more embarrassing?
Yeah, there you go. Which is more embarrassing? You getting knocked out by Nolan Ryan or you losing your pants?
Oh, God. What a mess. Right now, sir, the Yankees 4, the Mariners nothing.
And they got 2 on. They're beating up on Sheffield.
As the Castro scores on a wild pitch. As Sanchez walks for the second time already. That's why we traded you, Sheffield.
Yeah, I obviously it's got to be something. Got to be something. But it's early. We've been getting the bats going later in the innings, and it's only the top of this. Yeah, only the top of the second, and we're down 4-0.
Yeah, no lead is safe with the Yankees right now. A couple other score updates for you right now. It's going to the bottom of the 9th inning. Dodgers and Marlins still tied at 1. Phillies still crushing the Cubs 15-5 in the bottom of the 7th. Astros have come back and now have a 9-6 lead over the A's in the bottom of the 7th inning. Angels over the Red Sox 3-1, top of the 5th. Cardinals and Giants tied at 2 in the top of the 4th inning. And in basketball, it is starting to look like it will be the Phoenix Suns winning game 1. They lead 94-79 in that one. Don't forget, game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals with those Tampa Bay Lightning that Eric loves so much, trying to win the championship for the second straight year against Montreal. I'll be watching that one for sure because I don't want to watch the Yankees at all, even though they're up 4-0 right now. I'm not falling for the trap. Not doing it. Not doing it at all. But that is going to do it for yet another edition here, our 40th. Can you believe it's 40?
40.
Yes. And we haven't been kicked off of anything yet. Nobody's yelled at us too much. It's gone okay. So I want to thank you. Yes.
I was to say we only had one bad thing on. I And I think it was because of our timer a few weeks ago. I think that's been the only.
No, our timers have been giving it every week since I've added it, but we're not making any money off of the site, so they can claim all of the ads that we don't have. I don't
Exactly.
But yeah, we will be back next week. It is going to be All-Star break weekend. The All-Star game is going to be going on while we are on the show tomorrow. So we'll talk all sorts of baseball and give out midseason awards and come out with more games and stuff to talk about. Still looking for ideas for 600 followers. Robert seemed not to want to crush me in a hot dog eating contest, so we will see where we want to go instead. But definitely check us out on the Facebook page, our power rankings every Monday. Robert posts all sorts of stuff throughout the week as well. You can follow me at Randy Isbell. You can follow Robert at Bowling Teacher. Are you gonna say something?
Nope, I was gonna throw in our Twitter tags.
Yeah, you pointed at me, so I was ready to go to you. But we're 40 down, lots more to go. I'm gonna get out of this room because it is hot in here. The air does not flow worth anything when I have to close the door. So we're out. We're out of here. Have a good one.